I just want to give a really warm welcome to our 4 panelists tonight. So we have Aisling, Lara, Ravi and Anna from across the country basically. We've got people from UCD, Trinity, UL and former NUIG, now graduate. So it's a real great panel just to see across all of Ireland, and I would like to thank you all so much for taking part. I know I'm looking forward to hearing from each of you on your experiences and stuff like that. So I guess we might kick things off with if each of you like to give a short introduction on who you are and what projects or what you're currently working on in terms of social enterprise related things. So do one of you want to start off?
Yeah, I don't mind. So I'm Aisling, and I am a recently qualified speech and language therapist from NUIG Galway. So my student involvement kind of started last year with my program, which is Hear Me, but I'm still working with them now as a graduate member. So basically, Hear Me are a communication awareness project. So our aim is to kind of educate and raise awareness around living with a communication disorder. So we create kind of training events and things like that, and we go around the country and train different groups of people. So at the minute we're kind of focusing on hospitality. So we train catering staff on how best to support people with communication disorders and how best to interact with them. So that is our project.
Perfect, thank you. Lara, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm Lara. My co-founder is Laura. She can't be here today, but I'm on deferral from sociology and social policy in Trinity. Our app is Ethicart. So Ethicart is a user-friendly app that allows you to see how sustainable your food products are. So you simply search or scan for a food product and it comes up with a sustainability scorecard. And we suggest more sustainable alternatives where possible. So it's available to download now in the App Store, even though it's just a Trinity pilot for now, but there's still a few features that everyone can use.
Perfect, cool. Ravi, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Ravi. I was last year's team leader for Enactus UCD, and this year I'm working on Dilate, which is an app that helps homeless organisations by connecting them with the public in order to help the homeless in Dublin. So yeah, been busy with that this year.
Perfect. And Anna, do you want to finish things off?
Yeah, so I'm from Enactus UL. I was team lead last year, and now I'm back. I'm currently working on 2 new projects, but they're really, really fresh. Like they're only 2 years old, but one of them is called Disposably. So Disposably aims to kind of close the recycling loop quickly with single-use plastics. So obviously trying to move away from single-use plastics, but especially with COVID now, there's no way to eliminate the use of single-use plastics. It's going to be there for a while. So what's the most important kind of to teach people? So we have the educational part to kind of teach people to how to recycle correctly, and then we kind of want to build a system in cooperation with businesses, so restaurants and cafes, and with the local management facilities to recycle quickly, and to maybe also create a system with correct labels so people just know whenever they have single-use service where in which bin to put it in, and then the local waste management facilities and just they all have it sorted already. So that's what we're kind of working on there. And then the other project is Clean Beans, which the concept has been done before, so using used coffee grounds and turning them into skincare basically. I don't know why any of these projects have never lasted, because it's such a good thing to do. There's coffee skincare is everywhere, and but they're all using fresh coffee grounds, and used coffee grounds are actually so much better for your skin because they're softer. And usually when they're thrown away, cafes and supermarkets and restaurants everywhere, they just go into landfills, and there's loads of methane emissions and all that as well. So just taking all these used coffee grounds and turning them into skincare, we get free ingredients, so that's why we can offer the skincare at a lower price as well, and we have a positive impact on the environment. So that we're trying to do with that.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for your little introduction. I guess we might kick things off, but how did you all get into social enterprise? I know I only joined Enactus and kind of got into social enterprise in college. Were any of you involved before, or what was your journey into what you're doing now? Aisling, do you want to go first again?
Yeah, so I'm actually only recently involved with social enterprise as well. So it kind of all started last year. Hear Me had been a project that was run in the college for a few years. I think it started in 2015, and they were involved with Enactus Ireland with a program with them, but it never really seemed to just get off the ground. So again, my lecturer who was involved with the founding of the project, he approached the students to see if anyone was interested in coming on board. So myself and a few other students in my year decided to get involved too. Like, we didn't really know anything about the business side of things or anything like that. So I suppose I'm still new to it all, but it was just by chance that she offered us the opportunity. It wasn't even something I had ever looked into. So yeah, that's how I got involved.
Cool. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So I did the SUAS educational development program when I was in first year. So I went to India as a volunteer teaching assistant, and that kind of really gave me a passion for sustainable development because it's all so interlinked. So then when I got back to Dublin, I really wanted to do something to do with sustainable development, and food seemed like a good place to start. So that's when Laura and I started Ethicart. So that was kind of my initial kind of feed for food for it.
Cool. Ravi, do you want to give a little, how did you get into social enterprise?
Yeah, sure. So I started like 5 years back with young involved with this mapping project where we basically spent 2 years mapping out the country of Lesotho, which is a small country landlocked by South Africa. And within 2 years, we got the country to be the most mapped country in all of Africa. We worked with their governments, we did competitions like the Young Social Innovators, and basically like the SAGE for, or rather the Enactus for secondary schools, which is called SAGE. And so we were able to go to Ukraine and the Philippines and compete there. Really cool experiences. So when I joined college, Enactus was obviously like the thing to do because it brought down my interest. And so yeah, I've been involved with like social entrepreneurship for a while, and like still learning, I suppose.
It's great to start at a young age. It's kind of nice to kind of evolve as you get through the different levels of education. That's really cool. Anna?
Yeah, I wish I had learned about social entrepreneurship earlier, because I kind of only got into it because my NUIG, I don't know if any of you have my NUIG, but it's one of Enactus UL's bigger projects that has been around for a while now, and they were actually having a branding workshop, and they needed linguistic students to kind of just help with the language side of the branding. And so I wasn't a part of Enactus UL at the moment, so I just went to that workshop for volunteers. And so that's when kind of people explained to me what they were actually doing. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I've been on this campus now for a whole semester and I've never heard the name Enactus, just because I wasn't in the business school. But yeah, that's joined then, and I was part of my NUIG for a semester, and then I was team lead, and now I'm just joining different projects. And yeah, and kind of in between, I had my own project as well with the Red Bull Basement University competition, which is it's social entrepreneurship, but solely focused on solutions for students to improve life on campus. So I did that last year, but then because I had to go away and work that placement, that project kind of finished in the middle of nowhere. So, but I'll be happy to start something new in the future as well.
Yeah, no, that all sounds really good. I suppose for people who might know, so Enactus is a social innovation society that's across pretty much every campus in Ireland. So you set up projects that relate to like the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So that's your kind of aim, or your projects are centralized around. So it's a really great society to kind of get stuck in. You get to meet loads of different people from like basically across campus. Anyone who's interested in social innovation, it's definitely a really good place to meet lots of people who are kind of working along with stuff. I guess that kind of leads into my next question of what supports did you avail of when you set up your project or were getting involved? Because it's all great to have an idea, but sometimes it's hard to take that idea to reality. And were there supports, were faculty able to help you, friends, family, or I'm just guessing, like where did you go to kind of get started, I guess?
So for the Hear Me anyway, as I said, it had kind of been established already, so they had bits like that figured out before I came on board. But I was just thinking in terms of funding. So like even the lecturer that we were working with, she had already established that with the college. So there was like an inclusion fund or some kind of disability fund that we could apply for, and that kind of helped with kind of getting our website up and running and paying for different training events. And I know that different things on campus were really helpful too, like the film society and like, let's say, the cafes and things on campus. They were really helpful in creating like different educational videos that we could, you know, use, maybe even train the staff in the cafes and then show them like what's a good scenario for communicating with someone with communication difficulty and what's a poorer one. So that's kind of the support I was thinking of. And obviously we kind of knew within the Department of Speech and Language Therapy, we had the expertise there. We were learning about different things in the college, so we had that expertise, but we didn't have the kind of social enterprise side of things. So then in Enactus Ireland, when we became involved with that program, they were really supportful, like, and just with their training events and things, we definitely learned so much. Like, there's still so much I don't know, but it was definitely a benefit to be involved with that. In regard to like educating yourself around what we need to do to take this further.
Yeah. You want to go next?
So we started Ethicard with the Sprints program in Trinity. So that kind of got us ready to be able to apply to Launchbox. So Launchbox is Trinity's student startup accelerator program. So we got mentorship and workshops and then 10 grand funding, which was really useful from taking it from like a project concept and getting an MVP up there. So it's actually available to DCU students if you partner with a Trinity student, just for the people here. But then I'd say the main resource that we used is just reaching out to people. I think that's something that like all student entrepreneurs will agree with, that people are so willing to help you. So reach out to someone and have a clear ask for them. So don't just say, oh, I'd like to pick your mind. Say like, this is exactly what, or this is what I'd love to talk to you about. I know you have a lot of experience in this field. Would you be able to take a 15-minute call with me or a 30-minute call with me? And more times than like, they will always take a call with you generally if they have the time. So that's the main resource that I think enables you to get it off the ground, is reaching out to people.
Yeah, that's some very, very good advice. Does anyone else have what they found useful? Or
I completely agree with Lara. Like, just reach out to people and have your clear ask. Like, I think even when I was team leading last year, there's a lot of times where, you know, you reach a point where you're just like you just don't know what to do next, and you can't think of anything new because you've been on this problem for so long. And it just takes asking someone, even if it's a friend or it could be someone in your family, here's the problem I'm facing, and they might just have a simple common sense solution to it. So yeah, just ask people if you have any problems. And I think for me, like speaking to my faculty advisors, the business advisors, the training sessions, everything was just really useful because you can just get a new perspective to things. Like when you're working on a project, you're so tunnel vision sometimes because you know what you want to do and you think your approach is the best approach. But it's really when you speak to other people that your tunnel kind of widens.
Yeah, and I just think if you have an idea, just generally there's competitions. Like there's so many student startups, student innovation, student entrepreneurship competitions out there, events that you can go to. Like when we started our project for the Red Bull competition, we just Googled entrepreneurship competitions and you can literally just throw in an application anywhere. And it's really not that hard to get seed funding if you put it out there and try. You just have to believe that your idea is good enough. There's also Techstars, they do startup weekends all the time where the prizes are usually not monetary, but they give you like digital resources, they give you mentorship, they give you service, they give you a domain. Like there's all these different things. Like it's not always just about the seed funding. Like what we did as well, like we just reached out, for example, DigitalOcean, and they just gave us server space for a year. So that gives you the opportunity to work on something while not losing money, for example. Like always, it's not always just about, you know, spending money, but it's as long as you have time and you have resources and you have a brain, it'll give you time to maybe improve it and then get funding along the way. So I can always just recommend, for example, the Irish Student Entrepreneurship Forum, if any of you heard of that. They are having a competition at the moment where you can win funding as well. I think the deadline is this weekend. So if any of you have any ideas, just throw in, and there's always an opportunity.
Yeah, that's some really, really good input. I guess you kind of talked about timing and stuff, and that kind of brings me on to my next question. College can be difficult at the best of times, but trying to run a business, run a startup at the same time is, I can only imagine, really hard, and you really have to be good at time management. How did you deal with like periods where like it was exam season, or you were just really heavy with college work, or even in terms of startup or the work you were doing for your project? How did you manage to get that balance? Because I think that probably puts people off, worried about like, oh, I'll leave it till college, after college when I have more time, but sometimes now is the best time to start things. What was the best way you found to manage stuff?
Well, for us anyway, when our lecturer got in touch with us, I think she emailed like 2 or 3 times because nobody replied to her. We were just so overwhelmed with all the work we had to do in college. We were in final year, we were all writing our final year projects. We were just like, no, we don't have time for that. But I don't know, I think, and one girl in my class, she was like, I'm going to do it. And I said, oh, do you know what, I might do it too. So it was just pure luck. But when we got involved at the start, there was like 6 of us, and then we realized how much work had to be done. Our main thing at the minute was like getting educated. So we were doing our Enactus Ireland, the Next Gen Accelerator program. So it was attending training events and things. And then I think our big thing was like sitting down, organizing ourselves. We met regularly to kind of divide the work. And after that, we actually had 3 members, and they were like, no, I don't have time for this, I can't do it, and they dropped out. But they did it at the start, so that was fine. We're like, it's okay, we can organize ourselves. I think the main thing that helped us was just meeting really regularly and making sure that the work was kind of spread evenly. And we all knew that our college work came first, like, but and as well, working with Enactus Ireland, like they were so accommodating. Like there were face-to-face events that they were running and trainings, but we couldn't actually make the first one. No one on our team went to it, but I think they recorded the session. They made sure that we got all of the information, so they were so accommodating, and they were like really eager to work with us. So that was so helpful, which kind of ties in with the point that like people are really eager to help you, and like all you have to do is ask, and they really, you know, there's no guilt or anything if you're not able to do something for a certain date. They will work around it. So I wouldn't put yourself under too much pressure. Like if you're in college, for me anyway, I was like, look, college is the main thing at the minute, get that done, and then you can focus on other things. But I have to say, like, it was very helpful to just kind of sit down, organize ourselves, and make sure we were all on the one page. That kind of worked for us anyway. We're still here, so it's a good sign.
Yeah. I'd say kind of give a busy person something to do and they'll get it done. But that needs a lot of Google Calling for Laura and I anyway. So we just keep our time managed nicely. I'm on deferral, so it's a bit easier. But Laura's in her final year, so it definitely is challenging. So one of the things that we like to do is, you know, make our work time like a pleasure time sometimes. So say we do like weekly recipes on our Instagram. So we did that on Saturday night and, you know, made it enjoyable, but it's still like technically working. So to create pleasure time around it too, and have those like good relationships with your co-founder or good relationship with your co-founder, as well as like reminding yourself why you're doing it. So a lot of the time one person will be like feeling slightly unmotivated, but I think that's quite normal. So just to be able to be open with your co-founder to say, oh, I'm just finding it so overwhelming at the moment, or I'm so undermotivated. So having those open and honest conversations, and then trying to build each other back up to get the momentum back up when those times do come, because I think they do for everyone. Well, I hope they do at least.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's really important to just be honest with yourself, because I see 2 types of people. The first is they're like, I'll do this, and this, and then I'll do college. And you know, they're like kind of trying to sort it out and trying to justify doing so much because they think they can, and they don't give themselves any free time. They don't give themselves time for, you know, friends and stuff like that. And then there's the other end, whereas people are just like, oh, I'm in college, like you're saying, I might just do it later, or, you know, oh, I don't think I'll be able to do that, so I won't do it. But I think, yeah, just be honest with yourself, have your priorities very defined. Like, for example, last year was probably the year I got the most involved with Enactus. I had something like over 500 hours on my timesheet. So I nearly say it's like another degree in a way, because you learn so much, but also last year didn't count towards my GPA. So I was kind of clever about it. I was like, okay, well, next 2 years, I'll cut down the work and I'll really focus on my degree. And then this year I'll really go for it. And then I knew I'd see the benefit later on, which I did for like trying to sort out internships and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Ravi. Like, as long as you set your priorities straight, like all of this work that you do for Enactus, for your own project, for social entrepreneurship, it does so much for your learning curve and for your CV and for your future. And you kind of have to balance it out. Like, obviously, it can't be dragging your grades down too much, but there's always a benefit to doing work outside of college as well. So, like, as long as you just kind of know how to split it evenly, like kind of take your time slots. Like, my Apple Calendar is my go-to. Like, even if I don't have actual work to do in a day, you just have time slots for everything, like 3 hours block of college work, then you have your 1 hour of Netflix time. And that's just my way of sticking to it. But if you find a way to do it yourself that works for you, then I think having your priorities straight, as Ravi said, is like the most important.
Yeah, they're all very good things that I'm going to definitely take on board, because I know it's not easy. It's kind of, I find sometimes it's very easy to do the project work because it's enjoyable and it's fun, but it's important to remember I have college too. I think that kind of leads us into our last question. Do you have any advice for anyone interested in starting a project? And kind of, it's daunting but can be quite rewarding, but it's only when you start you realize how rewarding it is. So is there any like one piece of advice that you'd recommend to people to, if they're planning or have an idea?
Yeah, well, I've kind of touched on it already. For me anyway, was just kind of having that reliable team that I could fall back on, that we were all on the one page and we were all equally invested in it. Like, we all wanted to see the project succeed. So I think that's really important. And like that, egging each other on, like when one of them was kind of feeling a bit deflated about it, that was really helpful. And also, just to touch again on, like, do your research. People are really willing like to help you. I know we've had lots of input from like Enterprise Ireland and Enactus Ireland. Like, we hadn't a clue really about business. Like, we're in a total different sector. So like, considering how much more we know now, people are definitely willing to help you. Like, there's different organizations about like registering as companies and things. I think that's what we're kind of looking into now. I think there was like the Wheel was one of them, and like city partnerships and different organizations like that. I would definitely say just do your research around that. Like, you don't have to commit to anything yet. It's just an idea for a project, so go for it. Like,
I'd say, sorry, is there feedback coming back, or is that just me?
Yeah, I think it's slightly.
Will I turn off? I can jump.
Sorry. Oh yeah, that's better. Thank you. I'd say just identify a problem that you're passionate about, of course, and then think about solutions to that problem, and then contact someone at your innovation hub. So who is it in DCU?
I know we have You Start with Terence Bowden is the startup thing, but there's lots of various societies like ESOC, DCU Startup Soc, and Enactus. So there's plenty of societies on campus to check out.
So you can like go to someone like that in one of those that will speak to you about your idea, and then start from there. And then of course find someone that is equally as passionate about it as you are, and that you can get on really well with and work really well with, would be my piece of advice.
Yeah, I completely agree as well. I think the most important part is the problem or the idea or whatever. Maybe it's you want to work with technology, but having that bit of interest at the beginning is crucial. don't just do something for the CV or for the sake of doing it, because you'll just get really demotivated and they'll probably just die off later on. So it has to be something that you're actually kind of interested in. And from there, like the guys are saying, so many different supports, you just have to look up the best one for yourself, really.
Yeah, and on top of being passionate about it, obviously, when we start new projects in Enactus, every Enactus person will know this, but needs assessment is key. So when you have an idea, that's great, and you might think it's useful, but just talking to people that might be affected by the solution, that might need the solution, or that might have the same problem, and just trying to identify their pain points and kind of pinpointing what you're actually trying to solve and how you're trying to solve it. And then once you have that ready, as Lara said, like get it together, get people to work with, get other people that are passionate about it as well, and just talk to people, and it'll just take off from there on its own.
Perfect. I guess if anyone has any questions they want to ask any of our panelists, you can just drop it into the chat. If not, we might kind of close the Zoom or the call off, but I'll give my closing piece anyway, but just waiting to see if anyone has any questions. But thank you again for taking part. I know I've definitely learned a lot of ways that I can take that into my own like experience and Enactus and stuff. But I think it's always quite important to hear from other people and hearing their perspective. So I hope all that attending have gotten something out of this, got something to think about, even if you don't start up your own project, but maybe get involved with another thing. It's always really good to get involved with social enterprise. It's very fulfilling and you feel like you're actually making a bit of a difference in this world. So I think if we have no questions, I'm going to say thank you all for coming along. It was great to have you and enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank you guys.